So I hear you're from Canada.
Yeah.
How's it going, eh?
I'm going to let you in on a little secret.
I am Canadian!
That's right. While I've called Florida home for quite some time, I was born and raised in Southern Ontario, and that has led to having a lot of Canadian clients. So today, I'm going to talk about what it's like for Canadians, and really all foreign buyers, to buy a home in Florida. Welcome everyone, my name's Zach. Today I'm spelling that with a Z, and I'm a real estate broker in Fort Myers, Florida. Yes, I put on my Roots sweatshirt just for this video, and today we're going to talk about buying a home in Florida if you're not a US citizen or resident. Well, I'm going to focus on Canadians. Much of this applies to anyone from any country outside of the USA. Now, Canadians are the largest group of, how do I say this, non-American owners of real estate in Florida by far. If you've been to Florida in the wintertime, you've seen lots of license plates from Ontario and Quebec and probably a couple of other provinces as well. There's also a lot of Canadians who keep a vehicle in Florida with a Florida license plate, so you don't even know they're there. So how does a Canadian buy a home in Florida? What does it take to make that happen? First things first, none of this is legal advice or tax advice or immigration advice. Please be sure to connect with your own lawyer and or tax professional to get their input and opinion. Now, some of the things we'll touch on today include getting a mortgage or paying cash, exchange rates, time limits and how long you can stay in the country, and how do you handle that little luxury called health insurance. So obviously, yes, Canadians can buy real estate in Florida with very few restrictions. But just because you own a home here doesn't mean that you can use it whenever you want, and you're still considered a visitor as far as the immigration goes. While Canadian citizens do not need a visa to visit the USA, you're still only allowed to stay in the country for a maximum of 6 months out of the year. There's been some attempts by the federal government to increase this limit to 8 months, but so far that hasn't been passed into law. Okay, so you found a great real estate agent to work with. You found the perfect Florida home, you're paying cash, that's great and super easy. But can you get a mortgage if you need to when you don't have a social security number or credit history in the USA? Well, the short answer is yes, you can. Not every lender will work with non-Americans, but plenty will. You may find it easier to work with a Canadian bank that operates in the USA, like the Royal Bank of Canada, known locally as RBC, Toronto Dominion Bank, known locally as TD Bank, or CIBC, which in the US is called CIBC US. Now, many local lenders will also offer mortgages to Canadians, and generally speaking, both home sellers and agents will prefer to work with a local lender, but be sure to look at all of your options. Also, there's a major difference between Canadian and American mortgages. While mortgages in Canada are typically for a 5-year term, amortized over 20 or 25 years, the most common mortgages in the US are for 15 or 30 years to amortize over the life of the loan. So in Canada, while you typically need to refinance every 5 years, in the USA, there's no need to refinance your loan, although many people do refinance the mortgage if it makes financial sense to do so. One more financial item to keep in mind is currency fluctuations. In a perfect world, you'll pay cash for a home when the Canadian dollar is much closer to par with the US dollar, then you'll sell your home when the US dollar is worth much more. In reality, it's nearly impossible to time the market, and even if you do, trying to coordinate it with real estate values would be an absolute losing bet. Let's just say the Canadian dollar is projected to gain value over the next 6 months. Those gains are very, very, very unlikely to outpace the increase in real estate values during the same time. Also keep in mind that currency values fluctuate constantly, therefore your cost to own and maintain the Florida home are also going to fluctuate. Things like HOA fees, property taxes, insurance, and utilities, they're all ongoing expenses along with your mortgage if you have one, and even these amounts, they're going to be the same each month in US dollars, but the amount you're going to take home in Canadian funds will fluctuate with the currency rates. So make sure you budget accordingly and have a little bit of a buffer in there. On a related note, if you decide to rent your Florida home, remember that even though you charge the same amount of rent each month, the amount you actually receive in Canadian dollars will fluctuate based on exchange rates. Now, one thing you don't want to spend your money on is medical care. So let's touch on health insurance, as the amount of time your provincial health plan will cover you outside of your home province can vary, and you're going to want to know that limit. Furthermore, they're only going to pay for the same amounts that they would pay in your home province. So let's say that OHIP pays doctors in Ontario $1,000 to fix a broken arm, but you break your arm in Florida and that doctor charges $2,000. You're going to be responsible for the difference. The difference in the cost of care between a Canadian hospital and an American hospital is going to be astronomical. It's not a bill you're going to want to be stuck with. The bottom line here is that your provincial health insurance will give you some coverage, but you should definitely look into getting a health program, health insurance that has full coverage in Florida. Now, one last thing I'm just going to touch on is taxes. While the IRS is unlikely to have any concerns with you buying a home in the USA, when it comes time to sell your home, they're going to have their hand out and they're going to want a little piece of something called FIRPTA, also known as the Foreign Investment Real Property Tax Act. Now I'm going to save that for a future video I do on Canadians selling a home in Florida, but as I said earlier, you're definitely going to want to consult with a tax professional. Likewise, you'll want to speak with a Canadian tax professional to learn about any benefits and drawbacks of owning foreign real estate. This may sound all overwhelming. The truth of the matter is tens of thousands of Canadians buy and sell real estate in Florida each year, so it's not that bad. But you're definitely going to want to have a knowledgeable team that can guide you along the way, which is why you should absolutely call me, text me, or email me with any questions you have. Now check out these videos right here for all sorts of tips and tricks that apply to anybody buying a home, regardless of your citizenship or where you live. And click right here to subscribe so you never miss one of my videos on real estate and life in Southwest Florida. I will see you in my next video.